You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning. It's March the 17th, and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. We're live here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca. First off, happy St. Patty's Day, everyone. Make sure you get into some green, whether it's clothing, cannabis, or green beer. Just get into some green. I know I will be once the show is over. Just so you know, Cindy is off today. She is on her way to Toronto, so I'm going alone. Well, Cindy heads to Toronto. Today in the news, we're going to be heading to France, South Africa, Australia, as well as the U.S. We're going to be finding out about dissolvable cannabis, new medical cannabis laws, which is always good when it happens in a new country. And I'm starting off today with a story that I thought, what? You know, I hear police talk about this, and we realize that they make a mistake because they see a syringe with RSO, and they think that people are injecting cannabis. But we're going to start off with the story on just that, injectable cannabis. Here we go. A startup is selling injectable cannabis, and the FDA isn't happy. I'm going like, what? Injectable cannabis? Yeah, the Food and Drug Administration warned a California cannabis company on Monday that its injectable hemp, CBD, could be posing serious harm to public health, telling the company that its product is violating federal law. Pico 4 sells purified version of CBD, a non-intoxicating compound produced by cannabis that is designed to be injected into the bloodstream through an intravenous infusion. The Sacramento company has testimonials on the website that says that CBD 4, it's a room number 4 anyway, so that's what I'm calling for it anyways. Therapy can help treat chronic pain, Crohn's disease, as well as arthritis. Well, it is an IV, so maybe it is CBD IV. Who knows? The FDA, however, warned that Pico IV is a Monday letter that it is breaking the law by marketing CBD as a dietary supplement, even though it is explicitly designed to not be ingested and instead be injected. Yeah, how do you call something dietary if you're injecting it, not eating it? The agency also said the product is especially concerning because injectable drugs can pose risks of serious harm to users. And the FDA said injecting anything directly into a person's bloodstream can lead to serious and life-threatening conditions. Now, Pico IV CEO Joe Young said in an emailed statement to SF Gate, with the San Francisco Gate, that public safety is our top priority, and that the company's product undergoes a process designed to ensure sterility and safety. It says that we are confident in the safety profile of our product, and we are working diligently to provide the FDA with the necessary information to resolve the concerns, according to it in Young's statement. Now, Pico IV's website states that it offers the world's first injectable CBD product. The product is produced from American-grown hemp plants, a legal category for some cannabis plants, and is completely sterile and safe for intravenous use. It is not available for regular retail sale. Only physicians, providers, and IV therapy clinics can purchase vials of the injectable CBD, according to the company's website. Now, toxicologists have long been concerned about cannabis products because they do not face rigorous federal safety standards. Now, cannabis products are also at high risk of being contaminated, they say, with high metals and pesticides. Now, Pico IV says on its website that all of its products are tested by third-party labs for purity. And that's the end of the story. There you go. Wow. I don't know, folks. Just never heard of injectable cannabis before. And, to some, I'm sure it's a scary situation. Injectable cannabis. I just don't know where that's going to be end up going. But, yeah, not into that, I'll tell you. I had to do injectable medications for 3 years. Well, actually, I've been doing injectable medications for almost 20 years, to tell you the truth. But as far as IVs and stuff related to medications. But all righty, on to the next story. Here we go. Headline says cannabis terpenes offer new hope for chronic pain and fibro. I'm just going to say fibro. And this comes to me from Neuroscience. And here we go. It's at neurosciencenews.com, it says. I'll close that off. Now, in summary, they say the new research identified cannabis-derived terpenes compounds that give plants their distinctive aroma, as effective treatments for fibro and post-surgical pain. In preclinical mouse models, terpenes such as geranol and linalool significantly reduce chronic pain, providing promising alternatives to opioid medications, avoiding THC psychoactive side effects, they say. The terpenes appear to act through the adenosine A2A receptor, indicating a potential sedative mechanism. These findings open the door to develop novel, non-opioid therapeutic options for chronic and post-operative pain management. Now, they say key facts include effective terpenes. Geranol and limonene were the most effective terpenes in relieving fibro and post-surgical pain. Opioid alternative, they say terpenes could provide safer alternatives to opioids without psychoactive side effects, and mechanism of action says that terpenes relieve pain by targeting this A2 receptor. Now, terpenes from cannabis leaf plants may be viable medication for fibro, is what this report says in the pharmacologist report. So let's see what it says here. We won't cover it all. It looks like a lengthy story. So they say the paper builds on previous research led by Comprehensive Center for Pain and Addiction member John Strerick, a PhD, that showed the pain relieving properties of terpenes in models of inflammation and chemotherapy induced neuropathic pain. Now, I have Crohn's disease, so got some interest here. They say that our research is showing that terpenes are not a good option for reducing acute pain resulting from an injury, such as stubbing your toe or touching a hot stove. However, we are seeing significant reductions in pain when terpenes are used for chronic or pathological pain, says Stremick, who is a professor in the University of American College of Medicine's Tucon's Department of Pharmacology. Let's see. They say that the study was the first to investigate the impact of terpenes in preclinical models of fibro and post-operative pain, and expand the scope of potential pain-relieving treatments using terpenes. Now, the terpenes, which are the compounds found in that makes the aroma and the taste of the cannabis plant, offer an alternative path to pain relief without, getting stoned from the THC. Because there's, not everybody wants to get stoned, and not everybody needs to consume THC. So this is, an alternative. Now, stricter and the research team tested four terpenes found in moderate to high levels in cannabis, which is the geranol, linalool, beta carpholine, and alpha-humulene. They found that each of the terpenes resulted in high levels of pain relief in mouse models of postoperative pain and fibro. Now, Geronal provided the most significant level of pain relief, followed by linolene, beta caro. See, they don't make these words easy to say, do they? And the alpha humulene. Now, with fibro, there isn't much understanding of what the pain state is, and there are not a lot of great options for treating it, according to Stretcher. Our findings show that terpenes may be viable treatment options for fibro, which could potentially have a large impact to make difference on an undertreated population. I know quite a few people who have fibro. Now, fibro, it's a chronic musculoskeletal disorder that affects up to 5% of the world's population, according to research published in Healthcare in 2023. Now, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office on Women's Health estimates about 4 million U.S. adults have fibro, which affects women more than men. Now, post-surgical pain straddles the line between acute pain and chronic pain. It is usually short in duration, but it also involves physiological changes such as increased inflammation and sensation of the body's main or pain system that contribute to it. Now, they go on to say that opioids do a good job controlling post-surgical pain, but they can cause constipation that can increase the chance of post-surgical complications such as adhesions. And they say that we are also looking for better options, and this study suggests that terpenes could be a novel therapeutic for post-operative pain. And globally, they say approximately 310 million major surgeries are performed each year, according to 2020 research published in the International Journal of Surgery. And they say the research that is being done by the doctor's lab on terpenes and their potential to help those who suffer from chronic pain demonstrates the importance of basic research. And they go on to say that there are hundreds of unique chemicals that plants make, including the cannabis plant, that are undiscovered, says Todd Vanderhaal. He's got a PhD, director of Comprehensive Center for Pain and Addiction at the University of Health Services in Tucson. So he says that nature is incredible at making unique chemical structures, and many of these chemicals are unknowns when it comes to their abilities to aid in human health, diseases, and disorders. And to finish things off, it says a great current example is medication semaglutide, sold under the brand name Ozempic, which has a chemical structure that was isolated not from a plant, but from an animal that is prevalent in the Southwest, the Gila monster. Whoa, it must be like a lizard or something. And they say these discoveries from natural products through research such as what's going on here can result in very useful medications. So there you go. You just never know. But people have been talking about the benefits of cannabis for years and years and years, decades, and they always talk about the THC, but terpenes are very important. There's no doubt about that. They're all part of it, and when you start isolating certain things, you lose things. Like transports. You got lots of tires on a transport, but if you start taking a tire off here or a tire off there, then that transport's not going to go down the road as good as it was with all the tires on it. Just like a cannabis plant may not be as effective without all of its components being there. All righty, time to head to France. Here we go. This story comes to me from the International Cannabis Business Conference. It says France expected to take key step towards authorizing medical cannabis. Just what we need. Another country that's going to allow medical cannabis. Policymakers in France are reportedly expected to make a meaningful step towards authorizing cannabis production and dispersal of medical use beyond the current limited medical cannabis pilot trial. Now, according to our information, the two decrees governing the specifications of cannabis-based medicinal products for medical use and the safety of their production are in the process of being notified to the European Commission. And they say this notification via the TRS procedure constitutes an essential regulatory step before the integration of medical cannabis into common law, according to local coverage. They say following this notification, a 3-month standstill period begins, allowing the Commission and other member states to examine the text and issue observations. In the absence of any major objections, medical cannabis regulations in France could therefore be validated by Europe after this period. The decrees will then have to be signed by the executive to come into force. Now, as of 2022, the European Union Drugs Agency estimated that France had the greatest cannabis consumption rate of any of its members nations, and with a reported 10.6% of France's population having consumed cannabis at least once within the last year. Now, health authorities in France announced late last year that the nation's medical cannabis trial experiment will be extended until July the 31st. And they said the announcement was welcome news to the reported 1,800 suffering patients estimated to be currently participating in the trial. Now, the French medical cannabis experiment received initial approval from the federal Senate back in 2019. However, the launch of the trial was delayed until the spring of 2021 due to various reasons, and initially slated for 2 years. France's medical cannabis experiment was eventually granted a 1-year extension and was set to end in 2024 before receiving the latest extension, pushing the estimated end of the trial to the summer of 2025. And that would help cover, because of this 3 months and time that it has to go through the EU. Now, according to a recent newsletter sent out by international cannabis economist Bo Whitney of Whitney's Economics, France is home to the largest total adjustable cannabis market in the European Union with a value of $11.3 billion. It says dollars. It doesn't have a year sign there that I'm seeing. Now, a previous study by an economic advisory board within the nation's Prime Minister's office determined that the French government spends roughly 570 million euros annually on cannabis prohibition enforcement. The study recommended that France adapt adult use cannabis legalization and launch regulated recreational industry. So they figure it was going to create about 80,000 new jobs, and taxes annually bring in about 2.8 billion. That's a B, people, billion euros. So lots of money, obviously, there, and that usually ends up being the reason a lot of places do end up legalizing cannabis, because of the money. So it's always nice when you can hear of a place that does it for some other reason other than just for the money, like, maybe for the benefits of the people who they represent. Might be a good reason why. Alrighty, on to my next story. Here we go. Got a thing in the way there. We'll get that out of there. From Marijuana Moment, it says psychedelics have a positive influence on meditation practice, a new study has shown. There we go. Among adults regularly meditate, nearly 3.4 felt the psychedelic use had a positive impact on the quality of their meditation, according to a new study. Now, the research published last month in the journal PLOS One surveyed 863 adults. Now, among them, 73.5% said the use of psychedelics was beneficial to their meditation practice. Now, researchers found respondents were more likely to report positive effects of psychedelics if they used the substances more regularly, actively set intentions around their psychedelic use, had agreeable personalities, and had previously consumed DMT specifically, among other factors. They said the results suggest that most meditators found psychedelics used to have a positive influence on their meditation practice. Now, the authors wrote noting that both meditation and psychedelic substances have attracted increasing public and scientific attention, which both potentially tie to significant therapeutic benefits. Thus, there is a growing scientific interest in potential synergies between psychedelic use and meditation practices, with some research suggesting that psychedelics may benefit meditation practice. For example, the study points to a recent experiment in which 39 meditators received psilocybin or a placebo over a 5-day mindfulness meditation retreat. With those who received the psychedelic reporting a greater sense of ego dissolution during the retreat and more positive changes in psychosocial functioning afterwards. Now, other quantitative studies looked at written accounts of people who combined psychedelics and meditation, finding that most participants perceived that stimulus use enhanced either their meditation practice, psychedelic experience, or both. For the new study, researchers surveyed adults ranging in the age of 18 to 81, most of whom, 79%, were male. Then they used machine learning to analyze associations between participants' various traits and their response to the questions. Overall, do you believe that your psychedelic experience have influenced the quality of your regular meditation practice? That'd be one of the questions. Now, participants can answer the questions ranging from 1 to 7, corresponding with a strong negative influence and a strong positive influence. Responses with a mean of 5.9 with a standard deviation of 1.24. Let's see what else. Across all approaches, they say used to assess feature importance, we found that greater psychedelic use, which is frequency of psychedelic use, lifetime by 12 months, was the variable most likely to be associated with the perception that psychedelics benefit meditation practice. Setting intentions for psychedelic use was also associated with the perception that psychedelic use is beneficial to meditation practice, according to the study. It goes on to say, additionally, we found that 2 other variables, agreeableness and exposure to DMT, were associated with the perception that psychedelics were beneficial to meditation practice. It continues, along with a bit more weakly than psychedelic use and setting intentions. Other factors showed more minor but still significant association. They say factors such as exposure to cannabis use, high levels of openness to experience, and retreat practice had small but statistically significant positive associations with the perceived benefits of psychedelics on meditation, according to the papers. So there you go. Psychedelics and meditation can be a benefit working together, right? Make things for better for everybody, which is always good news. All right, people. I see I am halfway through my stories. Time for me to take a break. Time to medicate. I haven't done that during the show. Got my vape pen right here. And we'll be right back shortly. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. I'm live here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. Open Monday to Friday from 10 till 7 p.m. or by chance. Check out our flags, our t-shirts, plus our hats. And look of that supply of rolling papers, plus much more. We've got bongs and your favorite herbal vaporizers. Look at all the incense we have, as well as for those who collect knives, check out these knives in our collection. And while you're here, stop in to see Shay at the piercing room, where you can get poked by Shay. Daily deals, check them out. Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford, Ontario.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. Re-rolled Saturdays. Check it out. Nothing but non-stop cannabis and psychedelic programming. Find it at 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hey, I'm back from a medication session. I'll get that out. And you're live with Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. And talking about news, I got 4 more stories to go over with everybody. And this first story here is coming to us from South Africa and the International Cannabis Business Conference. It says, South Africa Department of Health bans cannabis edibles. Why would you ban cannabis edibles? South Africa is on a short list of countries that have adopted national adult use cannabis legalization measures. The African nation is joined by Uruguay, Canada, Malta, Luxembourg, and Germany. The Department of Health in South Africa recently announced a complete ban on cannabis edibles. Cannabis edibles are popular with medical cannabis patients. Yeah, they are. And recreational consumers for various reasons, not the least of which is that they are a smokeless form of consumption. Exactly. And it says here, they say in a report, in a shocking move, the Department of Health has quietly banned the production and selling of cannabis and hemp-derived foodstuff in South Africa, according to local coverage. This unexpected turn of events contradicts the government's decriminalization of cannabis by the Constitutional Court in recent years. Now, in the State of Nation address in February, President Cyril Ramaphosa says the government aims for South Africa to spearhead the commercial production of hemp and cannabis. The outlet also reported this. Now, they say that South Africa South Africa's president signed a limited adult use cannabis legalization measure into law back in May of 2024. And it says here that President Cyril Ramaphosa has signed into law the Cannabis for Private Purposes Act. The CFPPA regulates the cultivation, possession, and use of cannabis by adults in a private setting, according to a statement that was released at the time. It goes on to say the consequent regulatory reform enabled by the CFPPA will, amongst others, entirely remove cannabis from the Drugs and Drug Trafficking Act. This will further enable amendment of the schedules to the Medicines and Related Substances Act and provide for targeted regulatory reform of the Plant Breeders' Rights and the Plant Improvement Act, as well as other pieces of legislation that require amendment to allow for industrialization of the cannabis sector. The press release also stated at that time. Now, back in 2018, South Africa's Constitutional Court issued a landmark ruling that deemed cannabis prohibition as it pertained to adult individuals to be unconstitutional. And the decision stemmed from a lower court decision in Western Cape in March of 2017, which determined that a ban on cannabis use by adults at home was unconstitutional. And the 2018 decision in South Africa left many unknowns, including how much cannabis a person could cultivate and possess in a private setting. The court largely punted many policy decisions to lawmakers who then proceeded to drag their feet on for years. So it doesn't really say why. Why would you ban edibles? Like, I know here in Canada, the edibles weren't available right off the bat, but they were phased in. They weren't banned. They just allow everybody to get up to gear, get things going, so on and so forth. But it just doesn't make sense. Like they say, they are a non-smokable version of people to take their medicine or consume their cannabis. And, is it all because they are worried about consumption by minors? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. It didn't say. So, maybe we'll find out in another broadcast. Alrighty, here we go. On to the next story. And this one comes to us from greenstate.com. It says arbitrary criminal cannabis charges stain weed reform. And I'm going to agree arbitrary because as this story goes on, you'll find out. Legalization efforts spur many heated conversations, many in which often focused on cannabis DUI detection. Law enforcement hasn't standardized or widely accepted any method of detecting high drivers. Even a blood test wouldn't show the time of you getting inebriated. It's still hard to know whether someone who had consumed 30 minutes or 6 hours before being pulled over. This nuance, combined with the piecemeal way cannabis is legal in the U.S., means that cannabis DUI detection and protocol varies between departments. It says that the Orange County Sheriff, the deputies detected stoned driving using the methods developed to identify drunk drivers on the road. Now, Sergeant, and I believe most of the places do as well. They're not alone there. Sergeant Frank Gonzalez, a public information officer for the Orange County Sheriff's Department, told Green State, the same cues for alcohol impaired driving are used for cannabis impaired driving, speeding, lane straddling, unsafe lane changes, vigilance issues, no headlights on during darkness, so on and so forth. Now, the Minneapolis officers use in-field sobriety tests, according to Media Relations Coordinator Aaron Rose. Now, Aaron explained, if someone is suspected of DWI for cannabis and there is specific articulable evidence documented, any officer can do a standard DUI field sobriety test and submit a request for blood warrant approved by a judge. The standard blood testing will take place in a hospital setting. That way it's not done at a police station, I guess. A blood test can accurately detect cannabis in the system, but may not tell when it was consumed. That last bit is significant when being charged for driving on cannabis. Recently, a study confirmed this, showing that cannabis stays stored in a regular consumer's fat cells. In the research, participants tested positive for cannabis, but weren't legally impaired because it's in their system. Many also argue that it is an invasion of privacy to draw blood, and it remains within someone's rights to turn down a blood test. Now, police in certain Minnesota jurisdictions spent the last year engaging in a pilot program for 2 roadside saliva intoxication tests that also detected opioids and methamphetamines. That'd be our standard test that we have here in Canada. The devices could only be used with the consent of the detained, and results were not permissible in court. This program ended at the beginning of the year, and the state is now preparing the results into a report. It says that after officers suspect that someone is driving under the influence of cannabis, it's time to prove their suspicions. This is when things get into a bit arbitrary. Back in Orange County, deputies are using alcohol DUI tests, like tracking eye gaze for abnormalities, balance tests like the one-leg stand, and the classic finger to nose. Whether someone needs the test depends on the deputy. After a deputy completes their investigation and considers the totality of the circumstances, the deputy will form an opinion as to whether the driver is under the influence or can or cannot operate a vehicle safely, according to Sergeant Gonzalez. This includes evidence gathered during the vehicle in motion, personal contact, and pre-arrest screening, which is the same for alcohol-impaired driving. It says it turns out most officers are in the predicament when it comes to cannabis on the road. No method is widely accepted by law enforcement to detect driving while high. Additionally, there isn't a set point of abbreviation impairment, like 0.08% blood alcohol content with alcohol. 33 states, and I'm going to say and Canada, have adopted a 5 nanogram limit of THC in blood to detect a DUI impaired with effects-based evidence. Effects-based evidence is like what Gonzalez described, but 18 states make it far more complicated to some and arbitrary. Many states have per se cannabis DUI laws that indicate a person is under the influence based solely on chemical test results. When it comes to cannabis, a blood test or a saliva test can render positive results when a person is not even impaired. That is the nature of how the body metabolizes cannabis. This possesses issues for law enforcement seeking DUI detection methods. The National Highway Safety Administration deemed these limits arbitrary and unsupported by science. This is the government. So in 2016, there are 18 states with per se cannabis DUI laws, where even if a person has shown no signs of impaired driving, a positive drug test could land them with charges. As we know, Glenn here, 31 days without consuming cannabis, and he still tested positive. Now, states that have a per se limit for THC, Colorado, Illinois, Iowa, Montana, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Washington, West Virginia. I see there's some combination, few different numbers in there. States with a zero tolerance per se limit of THC: Arizona, Delaware, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Michigan, Oklahoma, Utah, Rhode Island, South Dakota. In these states, having the allotted amount of THC in the system is grounds for DUI, whether a person shows signs of impairment or not. Like, research indicates per se limits are poor and inconsistent when measuring the magnitude of impairment against THC concentrations in blood samples. Cannabis stays in the blood far longer than it makes a person feel high. The same goes for urine concentrations. Saliva tests boast a more accurate timeline, but pull false positives more frequently, which makes them less solid in court. There is no guaranteed correct way to keep stoned drivers off the road, but many believe that per se limits among the least effective options. Observing erratic driving and looking for signs of inebriation may be necessary to ethically prosecute high drivers. This would make per se laws out of the question. No matter what the future of cannabis DUI looks like, the best rule of thumb for cannabis on the road is never drive high. And there you go. Yeah, that 0.5, that 5 nanograms, it's been arbitrary all the way along. I know Canada adopted it because it was what was going on down in the U.S. at the time, Colorado, when our government officials went for, do some investigating, see how things are there in order to give them a bit of an idea of what they should do here in Canada. So I don't know of any scientific test that shows the 5 nanograms in your blood as being someone's totally impaired. So, all righty, here we go. On to our next story. And this one comes to me from cannabis.net. Headline says, what are cannabis dissolvables? Are these products trendy or are they worth trying? I've tried some. And I'll just leave it there. Tried. Here we go. For cannabis enthusiasts who enjoyed experimenting with consumption in an array of forms, or even for medical cannabis patients who simply want to look for the most convenient way to medicate, we're spoiled with choices these days. Yeah, we didn't have many choices 20 years, I can tell you that. Well, you had to make your own. From vaping to smoking, edibles and beverages, tinctures, topicals, pills, and suppositories, there is a way to medicate for everyone. But recently, a new way to consume cannabis has had some people talking. Cannabis dissolvables. You might have heard about them as dissolvable cannabis powder or THC powder. And they say that these revolutionary powders are manufactured with cannabinoids designed to be mixed into your food or drink. Upon consumption, you can enjoy the effects of cannabis within minutes. But they work just like edibles, then don't they? No, they don't. Dissolvable cannabis powders are known for their fast-acting relief. Yes, they are. Which means that you can expect to feel the impact of cannabinoids within minutes of consuming it in your food and drink. That's because cannabis powders are water dissolvable or soluble, allowing almost immediate absorption of cannabinoids into your bloodstream. On the other hand, edibles can sometimes take up to 90 minutes to take effect. Now, why should you try these powders? It says there are several reasons why you should get dissolvables or try this thing. They are odorless and flavorless options in the market. Cannabis dissolvable powders that are neutrally flavored make it a breeze to add to your favorite drinks and food without worrying about altering its flavor. Gone are the days when you're surprised by the often undesirable flavors of supplement powders. Now, with flavorless cannabis powders, you can easily medicate while still enjoying the taste of your favorite food and drinks. I did find it did make a change in my beverages, and that's why I said I did try them, but I haven't gone to back to those dissolvable powders. Smoothies, baked goods, juices, coffee, and oatmeal are just some examples of common items you can easily add THC powders to. That said, you can also find flavored options in the market if that's what you prefer. Now, I didn't try it in my oatmeal or baked goods or smoothies. I just tried it in some juice is all I did. They say the benefits here are high bioavailability. Cannabis powders are formulated to be absorbed efficiently. This way, your body can metabolize and absorb all or most of the cannabinoids in the product. Thanks to enhanced absorption, you can maximize the benefits of the cannabinoids. Alternate dosing. For consumers who prioritize precise dosing in cannabis, powders are superior when it comes to this. Getting an accurate dose is so easy since packets are already pre-measured. Meanwhile, powders can also easily be measured using a spoon. This offers a total control over how much you're ingesting, which is particularly important for medical users who require consistent dosing for symptom relief. They say discretion. When you add cannabis powders to your food or beverages, they don't have that notorious smell that cannabis smoke is known for because they are either odorless or have a neutral odor. There's no need to worry about taking it out or mixing it into a drink will alert people around you. So there you go. Take it to the ball game, take it to the movies, take it to a hockey game, wherever you want to go. Low and no calories. Most cannabis powders have little to no calories, so it's a healthy choice for calorie-conscious individuals. Whether you're looking to make a healthier choice or simply a simple way to experiment with cannabis formulations in the kitchen, dissolvable cannabis powders are an easy way to do so. Now, what conditions can they help with? Well, they can benefit patients and particular advantage for patients of certain conditions, including nausea and vomiting. Patients who are undergoing chemotherapy or recovering from eating disorders may find that medicating with cannabis simply through food and drink is an efficient way to medicate. These conditions make it difficult to keep nutrients down due to constant urge to vomit, but that makes it even more important to eat in order to have the necessary vitamins and minerals to recover. Mixing cannabis flavors or powders in water or juices provides a gentle alternative to medicating and keeping the food down. They say pain is fast acting to help with pain release. They say if you suffer from chronic pain and rely on cannabis for symptom relief, you can explore using cannabis powders. And this is due to the quick bioavailability to us instead of waiting that hour. If you're using something that is fat dissolvable. Now, I say insomnia and sleep problems. Cannabis is an excellent natural medication for treating insomnia and other sleep problems. The only thing is this product's not natural. This is essentially true if symptoms from another condition can cause difficulty falling or staying asleep. And then consuming these powders a few minutes before bedtime can help you hit two birds with one stone. Find relief and get you some sleep. As far as anxiety, it helps with anxiety relief. Many cannabis drink mixes are made with CBD, which provides extra relief for anxiety. Start your day with a healthy dose of CBD, mitigated anxiety, and help you get through the day with peace of mind. And they say, in addition, many powder mixes are also formulated with other healthy ingredients. These vary from one product to another. May include electrolytes, functional ingredients, hemp, terpenes, and other cannabinoids. And in conclusion, they say dissolvable cannabis powders are innovative, but they are also accessible and inclusive, offering a convenient way to medicate. Whether you are a recreational consumer or a medical cannabis patient, the benefits of dissolvable powders are endless. And check it out for yourself. See what you think. Just don't always take one or two people's opinions on it. Go to the store and check them out. It didn't say how they were made, whether they were created through a yeast method of creating cannabinoids or what. They're there and in powder form. But yeah, each your own. And I would say give them a try if you want and see what you think. Alrighty, on to my last story of the day. And we're going to head down under, head into Australia. because according to the International Business Conference, it says that cannabis legalization in Australia would generate $700 million in annual revenue. There we go. A recent estimate from Australia's parliamentary budget office projects that the enactment of adult use cannabis legalization in Australia could generate as much as $700. It doesn't say millions in there. In annual revenue, it says the $700 million in annual revenue would come from a mix of sales tax, corporate taxes, and a 15% special tax on cannabis. Now, they say the government estimate is part of a renewed legalization effort recently announced by Australia's Green Party. They say current cannabis is legal for adult use in Uruguay, Canada, Malta, Luxembourg, Germany, South Africa. Additionally, 24 states in the U.S. have adopted recreational cannabis legalization measures, and regional adult use cannabis commons pilot trials are operating in the Netherlands and Switzerland. Medical cannabis sales in Australia have quadrupled during the last 2 years, with Australians estimated to have spent an estimated $1 billion on medical cannabis in 2024. Medical cannabis was legalized in Australia in 2016, and the report states, local coverage last year stated that the Pennington Institute's Cannabis in Australia report has revealed spending has skyrocketed from $230 million 2 years ago to a predicted $1 billion by the end of this year. Big jump in numbers there. The spending collaborates with usage, which jumped from just 3.9% of survey respondents in 2018 to almost 30% in many of the use prescription cannabis, according to the outlet. So there you go. Australia, looking at the money. Everybody looks at the money. It always works out that way, doesn't it? But another country that's going to move things on in the medical cannabis is always good news for medical cannabis patients. And I'm still mystified by South Africa and the edibles and taking those away from patients. It just doesn't make sense, but who knows? Well, everybody, that's it. I got all the stories covered. Don't forget it's St. Paddy's Day. Get lots of that good green stuff into you, and get some medication. There's no doubt about that. Other than that, people, from the Legacy420.com news desk, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to our buds at Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, Legacy420.com, Limestone City, Hydroponics.ca, and At-Eze.ca. Other than that, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs.
Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.